And I think too, there's a lot of positive things that could do with it. Because I've always said the internet is the ultimate leveling playing field, meaning that if you have access to the internet, you can compete head on with the biggest corporation in the world, business wise, right? If you
Yeah.
have access to the internet, you can communicate with people all over the planet. If you have access to the internet, you can start a movement, for good in this world. So when we talk about AI, it could also be used for a lot of fantastic things like, hey, figure out what the hunger issue is in the world and figure out a plan for all of our planted crops. Oh, so that's something Dr. Jacoby said. Now we can figure out one of the problems in America is, well, they plant all corn and then they plant all wheat. Well, that's not what we need. We don't need more of that. Like nutrition wise, if we all wore Apple Watches that tested our blood sugar, got it? This feeds to the AI that feeds to the thing that's at the farm that's planting the seeds. It could actually start to provide us with the healthy food that we need.